Photoshop. Okay, in this video we will see how we can paint directly on 3D object. But before we do that, I'm going to open the material of this sphere so we can see what we have. It's just a standard material, so this is the default material. I have a texture in the diffuse slot. It's an empty texture, so if I'll open it, you can see it's just empty. Just the thing that I have a texture, but it's empty, so I can paint on it. No, it doesn't matter if it's empty or not, but I need to have a texture in order to paint on the diffuse. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to edit the texture, go to Window, Arrange, and to a vertical. So let's just select here and just kind of move the view so we can see the sphere. Okay, so here we have our sphere on the right, and on the left we have our texture. Now you can see when I have my texture here, even if I don't have 3D space, I'm going to, you can see I have a 3D paint. So this is a new property. This is probably the first time you see this, but don't worry, I'm going to talk about every single option in this panel. So let's see. Now you can see if I will go ahead and hover over there, you can see my cursor reflected in the 3D space as well. And there's a direct relationship between these two documents. So I can paint either on the sphere, and this will be reflected on the texture, or I can paint on the texture, for example here, and it will be reflected onto the sphere. So you can see this. Alright, go ahead and make a text. Okay, I was going to say 300 here. Okay, that's just misleading. And I'm going to paint here. So you can see here's my T. Okay, do that. Okay, so let's go 3D, and here's my 3D, my object painted. And I can paint in 3D as I said, or in 2D. And I'm not limited to the brush tool. I can use, for example, the gradient tool. So let's see the gradient. And you can see here's my gradient. I can use it here. And meanwhile, it's set to multiply. That's why I still have this one. So I'll set it to normal. So you can see this will take over. Okay, going to make it default colors. So you can see that the gradient is not filling my whole texture because I'm using it in 3D. So this is the paintable area. If I'll go to the property, okay, where's the property now? Where's the properties? So okay, why I do have those. Okay, select paintable areas. You can see these are the paintable areas in 3D. That will relate directly to the fall off. So you can see this. I'm going to talk about fall off just in a minute. So if I wanted to fill the entire thing, I do it in here. Okay, so go ahead now and say no. Here's my 3D object. Let's just rotate around. You can do that. I'm going to just go to the material, and I would say new texture. So it's pure white. Okay, so now let's just see the options that we have as a 3D paint. So select something again. So here's my 3D paint options, and I'm going to start painting on my object. So you can see I can paint. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it something like red. Okay, let's just see here. I'm going to edit the texture. This could be a little bit faster here. I'm going to fill it. So here's my object. So let's just close this one. Okay, and I have this red sphere. Okay, so let's see what I'm going to do then. So first option you have is paint on. So you can change it from here or from the 3D panel and paint on target texture diffuse. So as I said, I have a texture as a diffuse, so I'm painting on the diffuse information on my material. So I'm changing the diffuse. I can do something else. For example, I can paint the bump. Now when I start painting the bump, Photoshop will tell me that I don't have a texture for the bump. So do you want me to create one for you? I'm going to say yes. So it'll ask me for the dimensions, set it and say okay. So set this to black and white for the brush and just make it harder so you can see the effect. And I'm going to paint. Okay, it doesn't seem to be effective here. I don't know, am I painting? Okay, it was fully white. That's why it was not affecting. Okay, I need to paint on black. So now if I paint white on these areas, this will be effective. Okay, so you can see I can paint bump. So same thing, I will get something like this text and create a T. Say okay. Then I'm going to paint it. So I paint it with black. And here is my bump. As you can see, I can easily remove it this way. Then what I can do is I can of course paint the specular information. So it's again it's telling me that I don't have a specular texture. So I'm gonna say okay, create one for me, and it has full specularity. I'm going to, because it's white, so I can paint specular information, as you can see. Now the good thing here is I can make it look specular and not just like painting areas in terms of brush and gradation. I can use shapes for that. So let's just use something like, okay, this bird looks good. Do something like here. Okay, I'll make it pixels. I'm gonna make it black. Okay, just do that. So you can see this. Go to layers. Okay, then so let's just rotate and see. Here's my object. You can see the reflection. Okay, so I can make it just a selection if I want, so make it a shape, but I'll make it white now. Alright, now I'm going just to select it, and I don't want the shape, I just want to paint here. So go ahead now and rotate. You can see it's being reflective on this shape and the other areas are not. Okay, so let's get to the material. I'll go to the specular and say new texture. So this will be brand new, or I can just remove the texture. Okay, not replace, remove the texture. And as you can see, I can do all of these. So this is going to be the same thing, so exactly the same way, nothing different. So now let's just see the other options that we have in terms of 3D Paint. Okay, so the main thing you have is your paint system. You have your texture and projection. So texture will be like painting on a 2D plane. So let's see what that would do for us. Now I'm going to change the, okay, so let's just going to change my brush. I just created this brush very quickly, so I can paint okay, let's just paint fuse. So I can paint just a bird with one click. Okay, so I'm going to zoom out so I can see better. Let's now with texture I'm going to paint here. Okay, so I painted one, and let's see, well, let's just rotate. You can see my bird, and I'm going to now paint with the projection and see the difference. Can you see now with texture set, you can see the bird is more natural, but with projection, what's happening, it's being projected from this view. So I'm projecting my brush stroke from this view, and it will be projected onto more faces. As you can see, it will be just smeared across the surface here. But what I do with this one, when I project it from here, I don't project it actually. I just take the position information of my cursor, then the projection will be from its normal. So it's be like projecting it from this view. So it's like going from here and paint it over. Okay, then so let's see the other option that we have. Okay, then we have the paint fall off. Okay, we have minimal fall off and maximum fall off. Okay, to understand that, I'm going to just take I have a little photo here that I prepared. Okay, so this is the what happens with the paint fall off. Okay, let's just see. Now the A, this is your view. This is your eye or your camera view. You are painting from this area. So this is your surface, and the green is your paint. So this is what would happen with the paint. Okay, so let's see. We have your B and C. Now B is your minimal angle, and C is your maximum angle. So what happens with this? If you have fall off, the paint fall off will start from the B angle, and it will end at the C angle. For example, okay, not this. Go ahead here. So let's just see the paint. Okay, now the minimal angle is 63 degrees, and maximum is 80 degrees. So any surfaces that has more angle than 80 degrees from my point of view, I won't be able to paint on them. So let's set this to something like this and try to paint. And select paintable areas. You can see here's my paintable areas. If I'll make it smaller, I have a small paintable area. Make it bigger, I have bigger paintable area. So this now should be very easy to understand. Okay, then you have render settings, so you can disable the shadows, and you can see the unlit texture, so you can paint your texture without the light contribution. Then you have UV overlays. Now this is not going to be effective in 3D space, but what you need to do is, okay, I'm gonna go to material, go to edit texture. Okay, here's the texture. So what you do is you have UV overlay, so you can paint here with more precision if you have UVs. Okay, you can change the color of the UVs if your texture is dark, so you can make them light, and you can change the opacity of them. So if you're distracting this way, you can change the opacity. Okay, now another thing you might use when you're painting, if the object that you're painting is not simple as a sphere, of course it's not going to be, you have something like, you can hide some of these polygons. For example, what I do is make selection, go to 3D, show hide polygons, and I'm going to hide within selection. Now then I can go ahead again, and you can see I can remove all of those. So you can see how I removed them. Now I'm not deleting these polygons. I can still go to 3D and reveal all, but I can just remove the ones that I don't need, and I can paint on the others. So you can see how the painting system Photoshop can be very intuitive. Now this is a very simple example. I have just simple sphere, simple painting here. But if you have more complex objects, and you can use painting system to be more productive. So you can see in my case, the painting system is not going to be very helpful for me because I have just very simple objects. Sphere is going to be easier to paint on 2D space, but you have complex but if you have complex objects, but if you have some complex objects, 3D meshes, you want to do something like scratches and stuff, so you need to use the 3D painting. So this is basically the 3D painting features in Photoshop.